Hi Year 5, I hope you're all okay. You had a lovely weekend. So today's Monday, which means we're going to start writing our own finding story. So the first thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go back to your plan, and I'd like you to refresh your memory about what your story is going to be about. Off you go. So hopefully you're up to date now and you're ready to rock and roll. So the first thing we need to write for our story is our title. Now the title of our model text is the game. So my title is going to be The Bucket. So now you can write your title. Make sure you have got enough paper, or you're doing it in a book, so that you've got enough space to write all of your story together, so you're not just writing it on some scrap pieces of paper and then you lose them. And we want all of our story to be nicely put together. So the first sentence in our model text was Danny and Susie were bored. Now we've practiced writing these sentences already, haven't we? So this should be really easy for you. So my two subjects, the two main characters, are Gabby and John. So Gabby and John and my character is going to be relaxed. So Gabby and John were relaxed. Now it's up to you if you write a sentence at a time. So feel free to pause me and then write a sentence and then come back. Or you can watch me model the whole paragraph and then write your whole paragraph. It's entirely up to you, whichever works better for you. I'm not going to stop after each sentence and say, go and write your own sentence now. So it's up to you to do that if you want to. So, Gabby and John were relaxed. Now, the next sentence in my model text is, it was wet play again, and they felt like they hadn't seen the playground for weeks. So this is explaining now why they were feeling like they were. Don't forget that punctuation like I nearly did. So, it was the beginning of the summer holidays. So my model sentence has got a conjunction in, so I'm going to put that in now. And they enjoyed having no homework to do. So I'm just going to read that back, what I've written so far. Remember, it's really useful to check as you go. So Gabby and John were relaxed. It was the beginning of the summer holidays and they enjoyed having no homework to do. So the next sentence of our model text is, rivers of greasy rain streaked the classroom window panes and poured to make gigantic puddles in the centre of the netball court. So this is a bit of a setting description now. So now you need to look back at what your setting was. Mine was a park. So we start off with, it says rivers of greasy rain. So I'm going to talk about the sun. So I'm going to just have a think. So beams of golden sunshine and I'm going to say glared down. I might change that word later, actually. I'll come back and have a think about it. On the backs of the children's necks. Causing their skin to warm up. Beams of golden sunshine glared down on the backs of the children's necks, causing their skin to warm up. And now our next sentence. Another lunchtime inside was clearly stressing Mrs. Albright, as she seemed to be tense and a bit more snappy than usual. So now we've moved on to a character description. So I like that starter, another. So another day spent at the park. Was the another day spent at the park was the favourite pastime for the friends and meant, oh, Miss Harship spelled that wrong, that they didn't have to wash up for their parents. Or they didn't have to help their parents around the house. So, another day spent at the park was the favourite pastime of the friends and meant that they didn't have to help their parents around the house. So there's our character description. I just want to move the camera so hopefully you'll be able to see a bit more of my writing. That's better. So now it's telling us in the model text what Mrs. Albright's doing. So she sat at her desk with a streaming cup of tea and marked books with the ferocity of a wild beast. So I'm going to describe what the friends were doing. So they were, remember in my plan, they were sitting on a bench. So they sat on a bench watching. And we talked about the birds, didn't we, in my plan, so I'm going to refer to them now. Sat on a bench watching the... So I could say birds, but then I could make it a bit more interesting and talk about a type of bird. So I'm going to talk about the sparrows. Fighting like lions over I'm thinking piece of bread, but I think I could use a better word than piece. I might say scrap of bread or crumb. Oh, I like crumb of bread. They sat on a bench watching the sparrows fighting like lions over a crumb of bread. So now in my model sentence, it says, to top it all, every good game was being used and only the tub of dominoes was left. So to top it all makes it sound like it's a bad thing, whereas my friends are enjoying themselves. So I might put to add to their enjoyment. I don't like that. Like lions fighting over a crumb of bread. I'm just going to have a think about what I can write next. So I'm going to talk about now what could provide them with some entertainment. So providing their entertainment was, now they're in a park, so there's probably going to be There's probably going to be some people playing sports. Was some older boys playing a very competitive game of football. Competitive. Great, right. So the next line is Danny and Susie search the classroom for something to do. So now we just need the last sentence of our paragraph. So Gabby and John were quite happy to spend the afternoon like this. Have to move my board up. Great, right, I'm going to read it back to me now. So Gabby and John were relaxed. It was the beginning of the summer holidays and they enjoyed having no homework to do. Beams of golden sunshine glared down on the backs of the children's necks, causing their skin to warm up. Another day spent at the park was the favourite pastime for the friends and meant that they didn't have to help their parents around the house. They sat on a bench watching the sparrows fighting like lions over a crumb of bread. Providing their entertainment was some older boys playing a very competitive game of football. Gabby and John were quite happy to spend the afternoon like this. So I made sure that it sounds relaxing because that's what I wanted it to be. So now I'm going to read through and just see if there's any improvements that I could make. So Gabby and John were relaxed. So we talked about up-leveling this sentence, didn't we, a few weeks ago. We talked about adding a relative clause. You might like to do this in a coloured pen. If you're going to do it as improving, it might be easier for you to do it in a coloured pen, but I haven't got a coloured pen with me, I'm afraid. All my coloured pens are at school, so I'm just going to have to do it in black pen. So Gabby and John, who were best friends, don't forget I need those commas if I'm doing relative clause, were relaxed. It was the beginning of the summer holidays and they enjoyed having no homework to do. Beams of golden sunshine glared down. I'm quite happy with glared there actually, on the backs of the children's necks, causing their I'm going to add an adjective there to describe the skin. I'm going to say olive skin. Causing their olive skin to warm up. Another day. I'm going to add an adjective here to describe the day. I'm going to put glorious. So another glorious day spent at the park was the favourite pastime for the friends and meant that they didn't have to help their parents around the house. I'm going to put do boring chores, I think. I'm going to add a bit more information there. Didn't have to help the parents do boring chores around the house. They sat on a bench watching the sparrows fighting like lions. Again, another adjective for the sparrow to describe the sparrows. The cheeky. I think birds can be quite cheeky. The cheeky sparrows fighting like lions over a crumb of bread, providing their... Ooh, so there is a homophone, and I think I've used the wrong one. Remember, if we're talking about something that belongs to someone, it's EIR. Providing their entertainment... By their entertainment was some older boys. Providing their entertainment were... So that should be were, not was. Some older boys playing a very competitive game of football. Gabby and John were quite happy to spend the afternoon like this. Right, I'm happy with my paragraph then. So what I'd like you to do now is, if you've written it already, go and read through, see if you can edit and improve it. Maybe have a look back on all the other videos that we've done over the last few weeks and see if you can use those to help you with your story. I'd like you to take a picture and send us the first paragraph of your story. We'd really love to see them. You can email us at year5@bluecoatfederation.co.uk, and then come back here tomorrow and we're going to have a go at writing the next paragraph. See you tomorrow. Bye.